We'll start to record this meeting, right?
Can't hear you, Sandra. Is she talking to us or to someone else? Maybe she's talking to someone else.
Sandy, you're still on mute. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was just asking. It sounds like things are pretty grim in Indonesia with COVID. Are you?
Yeah.
Are you caught up in that?
No, actually, yeah. I don't know. The
Not
social
to be in
media
family
is
practice, eh?
blowing up everything.
Yeah. Anya.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
Good.
Good.
I think I have to change my connection because, yeah, I don't think it's stable. Wait a minute. Okay, it's okay.
Should we get going? I don't know where Judy is, but
Yes, I
can
think
send her-
we just start. Yeah. Oh,
Here she is.
there you go. Yeah.
Right on cue.
you've made good progress, Hilmi. I was just reading this morning. So I think you've done a really nice job of linking all the studies together and yeah, so the story of what you want to tell. So I think that's really good. I'll have a bit of a closer look after the discussion.
Yeah.
After
You haven't sent something new. It's just still commenting on what Sandy and I have looked at. Is that right?
Yes. I haven't revised.
Yeah, I put a couple of comments in. So maybe just, I don't know what would be better. We can discuss. Let me put my few comments and then we can obviously all look at it again when you've updated.
Yeah. So I think today
Have
we
you been
will
working on it though already, Hilmi, since the comments you've got?
no, actually, I just recap all of your
that's
comments.
right.
Maybe I
Okay.
can share my screen. So I make some kind of like recap. I will just share the whole screen, I think. So it will be much easier. This one.
We're seeing your calendar at the moment.
Oh yeah, really?
There it is. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I recap all of your comments from Sandy and also Judy. And I think this the main idea is a little bit the same about the structuring and the flow. Yeah. And phrasing, of course, related to my English. And
It's really very good, but
yeah, I think I totally agree with all of
it's
your
just-
comments. And yeah, some paragraph when I reread again is a little bit jump, yeah, etc. And so I think the most important things is I will think again about the flow and give the subheadings for each topics. Is this right, Sandy? The section about the obesity and its problem, and then I will summarize some animal studies about that, and then and then I will discuss about the human studies related to timing. This is what you write in your email, and then we will go to describing about the theory.
Yeah, there might be other topics that you want to add in. You know, it might be that you start off, yeah, you've got obesity and its problems, yeah, and in Australia, you know, all those kind of things. But you might find that there's a little logical gap that you want to fill in with another subheading. And the idea is you start with the general and you go to the specific. So that's what Sandy's done. Broad, start broad, and then you slowly bring everybody to say, oh, but we just need the study about time-restricted eating, you know. It's kind of at the end. It builds up.
Yeah. And then about the, I think I will work about the background. And then about the method, I think it is also substantial about how I write the method. So
it's all there, Hilmi. It's just about trying to make it very easy for people to, you know,
read that.
Follow each study. I think, yeah, that's
It doesn't have to be very detailed, but you do have to say something about the settings, the participants, you know, you do have to, and it might change. I think we all know that thinking has to be clear all the time, even if then later it changes. I think it has to make sense. I mean, for example, we might throw out a whole study. We might say, oh, this is not feasible any longer. We can't do this. We will now do this. But that's later on. But at the moment, it should have integrity.
Yes.
That summary table can be as an appendix.
Oh, yeah.
Or it can be in the body. Because if you put it in the body, it might be a replication because you're already talking in the text about it. So you might refer to the matrix and then talk about it in text way in the text.
Yeah. So I'll put it in the appendix in the bottom of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It just depends. It's quite 15 pages sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot because there's a lot of other things in there.
Yeah. Right.
And then the other thing could be to just have your little summary at the beginning, you know, I suppose the summary, and then elaborate on them, you know, so you're actually giving the kind of conceptual model of the study and what's involved, you know, of the whole research thesis, and then elaborating on the methods and so on.
Yes.
But look, you know, like many of these things, you know, it's just personal preference. There's not one way or anything. So yeah, play around with how you like it.
Yeah. I think this one is also interesting, Sandy. With you talk about the knowledge, attitude, and practice study. At first, I just plan to do some interviews or focus group to the healthcare providers, WAPHA, the GPs, the nutritionists.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what exists already in that area, but it could be quite, you know, it gives you, it does give you slightly different data, I think, like, and it doesn't rule out you doing the qualitative component, but it also, I think could be quite.
Wait a minute. I think my connection is.
You know.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Sandy. Can you repeat again? I think I can hear you.
Oh, yeah. Look, I mean, it's not necessary, but when I was reading, you know, you look like you've got that one big data set analysis, and then you've got these 3 qualitative studies, and I was thinking it would be quite useful, and you know, I think to have perhaps a little bit more, you methodological variation there, and also you do get different information from a knowledge, attitudes and practices survey. So it's just an idea.
Yeah.
Putting it out there.
I quite like that. And what you could do is you could actually see if any of the participants were agreeable to have it to be part of an interview.
Yeah.
And then you could sample according to their responses. So you might want to get a good variation of attitude in your detailed interviews.
And you don't have to make it a huge survey. You could, like you can try to. I think we often make them very, very big.
Yeah,
it's quite hard often to make them smaller, but often you can, from a relatively few questions in different areas, you could actually get quite a lot of, you can get some good information.
Yeah.
And it might also really help you contrast, say, GPs versus dietitians. You might get some different information from different groups.
And you'll be able to use some of the statistics that you're learning now.
Yes.
Are you doing the course, by the way?
Yes. I've started yesterday, the first lecture.
Good. Now, there's a lot on, just for everybody to know that we organized for Hilmi to do biostats 2, because we feel that he can benefit now while things are still, early on in his candidature. But normally they don't allow people to do it offshore, but because he's got a fair amount of background, he's being allowed to do it. But yeah.
So if we perform a study about the knowledge, attitude, and practice, so the respondent will be the same with the one who will be invited to the focus group. Do you think like that? It's only a small sample size, right?
So no, I think if you're doing the CAP survey, you need many more.
Oh, I see.
It's a completely different methodology. You can't have 10. It's not what you need. There you would need 50, 60 people to be able to. So in other words, your reach would be, that's what you were thinking, Sandy, right? You weren't thinking.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think it's worth, sorry, I've got a big mosquito flying around here, which I'm trying not to trap him, not let him out so he can bite me. Don't know why I've got that mosquito. All right.
Sorry, do we want to make?
Look, I mean, I think it is worth thinking about that. I mean, you may find, GPs are notoriously fairly difficult to get, high response rates in surveys from, but it may be that there's some special interest group, I don't know, like I think maybe dietitians would be somewhat more compliant and not so over surveyed, so you might do better with them, for example. But again, you could think about comparing a rural versus a metropolitan, and look at some differences there. And look, as I say, if you can keep the questionnaire itself fairly small and make it not too onerous, it might be, I think you'd get some really interesting information. I haven't done any search about, well, is anyone, there's lots of knowledge, attitudes and practices surveys for different types of health conditions, but I don't know anything around the time restricted eating. So it would be a bit of work, I suppose, in trying to design it. Obviously.
Can I just say that GP surveys are terrible response rates here. They really are very, anything like that. So you might have to try and get us, I think, as Sandy said, some kind of subgroup, or even where you can capture people right there and then at a conference or something like that. I was actually thinking about, there's a Rural Health West conference, for example, this year in November, which you would get a whole bunch of rural GPs at. So it's not, and so I think you can forget about a nice random sample, because it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just say something? The Breakfast Club Sandy mentioned for the GPs, we've got that available, and we've got about 12 dietitians in our area that are pretty on board with writing surveys. And I think we could most probably get the numbers that maybe 50 to 60 if I push hard or help you out there, Helmi. So I think there's already about 20, 25 people that we could focus just in this area, but I don't know if you want to broaden in Western Australia focus on other areas.
I think you would want to. It might be that you decide that there are particular gatherings that you try and you can just say this will not be a random sample. This is the evidence is that you'll never get a sample, you know, and so we're going to try and capture people in different audiences who come to, so they aren't representative of everyone, but will certainly give you some idea of the themes and the issues that people, you know. So say for example, even if it's this year we can't get the Rural Health West conference, but maybe we can. But there is one next year. You know, this is not going to happen overnight, and so you might have various gatherings over the year, and you try and get a captured audience from time to time. Where you,
I think you can't spread it out over a year. I think you need to try and have a strategy about what your recruitment strategy is, and then kind of go for it. I mean, you know, keep it open. You can keep it open for a couple of months. Yeah, and I think you do get, we actually did a knowledge, attitudes and practices survey with GPs. I've just been reading Carrie's write-up of it, and it's actually really interesting, and it really does inform, I think, you know, how you approach service provision, you know, what is needed, you know, what, you know, identification of the major barriers. And then, of course, I guess the big value, of course, is that then there, I mean, this was in Geraldton, but you know, then there's some ownership of what the findings are, so you can actually then, you know, I think argue for the sorts of service configuration changes, I might add, as well as, you know, training. So I think it's worth. I think it could be quite useful. Like many surveys. Yeah, I was going to ask Nahal about whether she would have any special insights or pull with GPs in this space, or suggestions for recruiting GPs.
I think Judy's idea about sort of going to a, you know, like approaching a particular conference group, I think that's quite good. We are in the process of trying to set up a practice-based research network in Perth. Obviously, I think there's more happening in the rural areas with the Rural Clinical School, and I guess you've got more of a network already that you know who are interested in research, whereas we don't really have that in the urban area, but there is one that's being planned between the universities, and we're going to sort of have a launch of that in October. So that could be a place that we could try to recruit GPs from. So, yeah.
Yeah, because I tried to have a GP. It wasn't a topic that was of general interest to all GPs, and this is pretty topical. They'd be very interested in this, I think. But I spoke to, oh God, what is that academic who retired from the GP? Very research.
Alistair Vickery.
Yes, Alistair. So I spoke to Alistair, and he just was saying it's so hard to get. I mean, we try to get. So I think the only hope is if you have a network that is interested. I think that would be a great sampling frame, but to use the sampling frame of the GP register, or it's just not going to work. So maybe I suppose for me, the big issue here is not the content. I think that would be useful. It's the sampling.
Yeah.
It's the sampling and the sample size is the big challenge here, particularly with GPs. I think we have to be we kind of, you know, and you'll never get a representative sample from a nice random. It won't happen. So I think maybe.
So we don't necessarily need very large, do we? I mean, I think the thing is we know that metabolic health services have a number of GP practices who are already sending them data. So they're presumably a particular subset of general practice. So you might want to see if they would be agreeable to do it. I think that
that's a bias sample, yeah.
Five general practices, for example.
But and if then, that's a bias sample. I think the big issue is
but you see, it would be, but that of
just
course
give
that's not all of general
insight.
practice. That is a subset of general practice. That's about what GPs who have an interest believe and do versus a sample. And then I think it's about thinking how you where would you do your sampling for GPs who haven't had any particular expressed interest in this. But you don't need to go and do a random sample of the
no, that's what I'm saying. We can't do that. It just won't work that way. So I think we do have to, anywhere where we've captured them in some way, either through Nahal's database, and you could say and you could then stratify the responses by the data. You can put it together, and you can also look at them separately. So you can do quite nice things with that. But I think because knowledge, attitude, and practice surveys are quantitative things, it's not an interview. You need numbers. And
but you can have open-ended questions in it too, and that can be quite valuable as well.
And therefore, you could also get some people there a question. And I think I mentioned it earlier. Would you be prepared to be part of a more depth interview? And then you can choose people who've responded yes, but of different attitudes. You could actually purposively sample them in a way that's sort of useful. So it gives you the sampling potential for your next level as well.
In short, probably the way you're going to get GPs to respond, even if it's just, I don't know, 5 or 6 questions that are the key things that you want to know. If they're aware of it, if they use it, I don't think it needs to be very, they won't fill it in if it's very long, basically.
So the big challenge here will be just getting the sort of the groups in which you're going to sample from, and that will potentially respond to get enough. And the point is, I think you would like to have enough in the strata, enough doctors, enough dietitians. Who else would you like? What other groups? Dietitians?
GP. What else?
It would be fine just to have 2. Then it makes it simple. But is there a group that, like, if you didn't have it, it would be silly not to have them? And just think about that. You target another group.
I'm just thinking that a lot of practice nurses end up giving a lot of the advice because of their care around dietary.
I was thinking that just as I was talking, I agree with you. So that might be, and you might get a better response from them than from the GPs, even more detailed.
Okay.
And you'd have to think quite carefully what you want.
Yes.
Because this is your superficial bit. It will be superficial, obviously.
So it will be a convenient sampling, Judy?
What's that?
This sampling method will be a convenient sampling, or?
I suppose so. Some of it, we'd have to think what it is. Like if it was at GPs at a conference, that would be convenient sampling. GPs you go for a whole database, that's not convenient sampling, that's everybody. And it's just an issue of response rate there. But in general, I think it would be, because you're going to mix, if you're going to then put it all together, that would be a convenient sample, you know, if you then mix them all up. Yeah. Just to get back to the survey, if I think Nahal said very small, a short questionnaire, probably 2 on knowledge, 2 on attitudes, and 2 on practice, and that's it, like 6 questions, because there's 3 on. Yeah. So you be very sharp what you want.
Yes.
And you might have to just make some definitions up front so that everybody understands exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I will try.
So it ends up not being a small survey. You can't have a small survey. You want a survey. You know, that's enough numbers.
Anyway, look, I think it's just a thought. You can think about it, Hilmi, and decide whether you do want to do that. You know, it's not a necessity. It's just a, you know, a potential way to think about it a bit more. It certainly creates a bit more work than just going out and interviewing a few people. But I think it would actually give some very interesting information.
Yes, so, yeah. Professor, I'm agree. Oh.
It'll give you some breadth.
I think the rest of it is the section that I haven't
Did you have a look at that sort of non-disclosure agreement that
this one?
Did you have a look at the non-disclosure agreement that Martin sent through?
Actually,
yesterday?
Just skim, just
there it is.
Just scan it.
Okay.
Yeah, just take a quick look of this. Not in really detail about this.
Yeah. Are there any concerns you have?
Yeah, I don't think there are any concern about this. So I think this is also a good, agreement, mutual agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the agreement looks fine, and it's a pragmatic way just to get through, because we've been sort of marking step, I think, for a couple of weeks. So I think if you sign it and send it back to him, you know, you obviously have to put in a few things here.
I will sign it today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great. Okay.
Okay, and then another thing I want to ask you is about this. Probably you have seen. It's already changed to the cover sheet of the research proposal.
Sorry, say that again.
I have changed the screen to the research to the cover sheet of the proposal. Yeah, this one, Sandy. Probably I want to ask you about the format of the thesis.
Yeah.
Do you think it will be better to be anticipated as a series of paper or just
it's really the way we commonly recommend that people do it. In fact, in some ways it breaks it down into little chunks, and I think it means people get on with it. It actually starts building your track record in this area as you're doing your thesis. As my father used to say to me, only 3 people ever reach a thesis. I mean, that's not necessarily true these days, because there are electronic, repositories of theses and so on. But basically, you'll get much sort of profile from publishing your work, and it gets your work out there in a more timely way. So yes, I would certainly recommend that you do it as a series of papers.
And sometimes it's a hybrid, it's a mix. So maybe you've got maybe 4 or 5 of your objectives are completed, but only 3 are in papers at the time, and you might have the others as a normal. You can mix it. It doesn't mean you have to have all of them out in papers ready yet, but that's fine. It just means that you've got that in mind, and it's always good to have a few questions before you go in.
Yeah.
Before you, submit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you just go one up? Can you just go up a page? It was just something that caught my eye. It was just something about.
In the cover sheet, Judy?
Yeah, sorry, wait, statistical advice. Sorry.
Oh yeah, this one.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah. We will have to, find somebody to give statistical support.
Yes.
If it gets fancy. I don't want to pretend to be a statistician, so I will try and bring somebody in. That's why it's good for you to be a student with them. Then, ask them a bit of help. But we can find someone to support you. I don't think Allied Health has a statistician. Is that correct, Sandy?
I'm sure they have access to something, but I don't know. And I guess that's another school, Allied Health. But anyway, look, I think we just let this one go for the time. The requirement is relatively simple, so yeah. Hilmi, you look like you have problems with your internet access quite a bit. Can other people hear me?
Oh, he's saying, I think my connection is very unstable.
Yeah. I think wondering whether we should whether this is useful continuing, because I kind of feel like there's. Can you hear us at the moment?
Yeah, not clear about that, because I think
we should, if it's not working and not clear, we might as well finish the meeting unless there's anything urgent you want to talk about.
Oh yeah, I think that. So I think I can work on this. So another thing that is urgent is what Judy said about the schedule, and about the reviewer and the schedule for presentation.
Yeah. So have you heard back the availability of presentation time
from the school, Judy, or from?
Yeah, from the people who run the seminar series.
Oh no, they don't tell me anything about that.
Did we not? Did you contact her?
No, not yet. Because I think we are waiting for.
Okay, sorry. You were okay. Gemma, the 13th of the 7th. They could do a Teams meeting on the 31st of August. Sorry, the seminar room isn't available, but the Zoom is fine if it's on Team. Yes. You will like me, yeah. So did we decide on the 31st of August?
Yeah, I can do that. But what do you think, Sandy?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think you're getting to the sort of pointy end of getting your candidacy, and it probably is a really good time to be presenting it. So if that's what they've offered you, I think yes.
Okay.
You should do it. Yeah.
And 2 weeks prior to that date, I have to submit the proposal to the reviewer first.
Yes. 2 weeks, and we need to do the reviewers are going to be. So that really leaves you 3 weeks to do your whole proposal. So it needs a lot of work at the moment. Yeah, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight.
Yes.
I think, yeah, I don't think you're that far off, Hilmi. I mean, I think this is largely a reorganisational thing that we suggested, and a couple of missing little elements. Chucking in the K8P adds a little extra dimension, because that's another effort kind of exploring things. But I think your progress is pretty good, actually. So yes, these timelines, they're pretty pressing. They just keep rolling by, unfortunately. So it is good to set that goal, I think. So do we have to nominate the reviewers, Judy?
Yes.
Okay. You suggested somebody.
I suggested Siobhan Hickley, and I'm not. I think probably somebody who's into the content. Yeah, so she's kind of in the content area as well. Maybe
it should be from the UWA, or it can be from.
It can be outside of UWA.
Oh yeah.
It can be outside of UWA, but they have to review it and give comments and be there on the day to ask you questions and so on. Yours is on Teams, because they've offered you a day, because it's on Teams, that everybody would be on Teams, which I think is probably fine. So
is that like, would you prefer to be on Zoom than Teams, Hilmi?
No, actually. Yeah, I don't think I can. Yeah, I can manage in Teams. I have
okay, good.
Explore it.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can manage.
Yeah.
So, and is that 11 a.m. on the 31st? Judy?
Yeah. 11 a.m. our time. Yeah.
Just put in my diary so it's there. Okay.
So what date was that? The 31st, right? Yeah.
I wonder if there is a GP, isn't there, who used to work in Pop Health? I think she might be in the research office now. I'm trying to remember who it is. Do you know, Nahal? I wonder if she would be a good person to do it. Or the other one might be Denise Sullivan. Do you know Denise, Judy?
I don't. I've heard her name. Why do
Yeah, no, I think she's in the Department of Health, and she did her PhD with the school, and
yes, and
her area was chronic disease. So I think she'd be really good, actually. Yeah.
And in fact, and maybe or a public health physician as well. So if she couldn't do it, maybe a public health physician, like
they're all completely obsessed by COVID, I'm afraid, at the moment. But, yeah, I mean, no, I think that would be, I could think about that a bit.
Yeah, so it could be a GP or a public health, because it's kind of public health as well.
Yeah.
And it should have somebody with a PhD, obviously, because they've got to be able to review. Yeah.
Could always ask Charles Watson. He's always good value.
Well, you want to?
Well, I think Denise might be good, actually. So.
And you've got a relationship with her? You can.
I know her. I mean, haven't had much contact with her recently. I mean, yeah. So and I can ask her. So basically, she would sort of around mid-August, she'd get 2 weeks to have a look at the proposal, and she'd have to be online for Hilmi's presentation. Yeah.
That would be great. It would be nice to have somebody in the policy area.
Well, she would be in the policy area.
That's what I'm saying. And she's a GP. It kind of fits everything.
She's not a GP. She's not a GP.
Oh, isn't what did she? Is she a doctor?
Well, she's a PhD graduate.
A PhD doctor, yeah.
So
she's in policy.
Yeah. Chronic disease focus. So I think she'd have covered a bit of Yeah.
Okay, so I think it sounds like, Hilmi, you've got a lot on at the moment. And I think maybe we can just all really respond quickly when the next version will just really work. I think we'll have to have lots of throughput with a few, just keep sending and then we'll keep correcting and then, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Editing and yeah.
Are you happy to explore the knowledge, attitude, practices, and yeah, as I said, Hilmi, I don't think you have to do that.
Yeah.
It's just
I'm actually
have a look at that and
also
see whether
interested.
you think it would.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I
mean, the other
thinking about
option
the
is,
feasibility of the study actually.
Okay, great.
the other thing is just you in order to have these days at UWA, you need a panel. So we need to think, we need an independent chair of that. I mean, if Denise was interested, she,
I'm going to take this call, okay? So I might say goodbye.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe for your next, maybe we need to just circulate because Sandy, they've just started this thing about having a peer a PhD panel, and it needs an independent chair. So I don't know, Nicole, if you've got anybody there at your thing that can be the independent chair.
They've got to be quite senior, don't they?
They need to be academics. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
We don't really.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, maybe we need to, but we need that, and we probably want that person to potentially be a reviewer or at least look at what I have. Anyway, it's too late because we're going to just try and get who we can, but we need an independent person to, and maybe we can meet after the proposal, and before it's finalized, that panel has to sign off on it. So that's the process. So after your presentation, you get feedback, you make some changes, and then the panel will then meet. Yeah. So maybe if you can just in your minutes highlight that we need a panel. Okay. Okay.
Hilmi, I'll spend a little bit of time this morning, give you some comments on this version, and then you can come back to all of us with the new one.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So yeah. All right. So we've got a meeting in 2 weeks' time, have we?
Yeah.
Right?
But actually, we haven't scheduled with the new proposed regular schedule since
okay. We better do it, otherwise we're going to be in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with me, I only work part-time at UWA, and I've also got some possible other things that I'm be doing clinically. So, and I'm not sure about the dates, but I did it all to like once and a day morning, 1 month. Would that suit me, or is that too?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know exactly what's going to be happening, but I think that would suit me. So
can we schedule next Thursday now? Is that
so?
I'm sorry, Naha, and Thursday.
Oh, Hilmi. Yeah, Hilmi. If you can just send out for the 12th, okay? I need to also go in quite soon. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to write it in because if it doesn't go in, then yeah. And then at that meeting we can decide when the next one is. And if you can all just pencil in the 31st for the 11 o'clock.
Do we need to be there, or
you can, it would be nice if you did.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It really. Oh, no, just hold on. It's on Teams. So I think if you can come in on Teams. Yeah. It's only available on Teams that day, but it doesn't matter because I think it's better that we're all, I think it would be to Hilmi's disadvantage if we were all in a room and he was, you know what I mean? I think it's better to everybody be on Teams. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. I put it in.
Thank you. Oh, Gemma says the 31st is available. Sorry, I've just got it back from her, so that's good. Okay, so I'll email you a few weeks before the 31st to request your talk and a short summary. Okay. All right, so it's
I'll keep contact to Gemma. Yes. Okay. Okay, I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, Tanya, if you have any suggestion about the studies, just send me other emails, right? I will be happy to.
Thank you. I will do, Hilmi.
Yeah. Okay, thanks everyone.
Thanks everybody.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Good luck, Hilmi. If you need anything, give me an email, okay?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Okay, bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.